Hi, my name is Jessica, and I'm reviewing Wildcraft, an herbal adventure game today. This is a kid's game that is an introduction to herbal remedies. It was created by a family who's obviously very much into herbalism and foraging. They know how to find and use herbs and other plants and edibles from the wild and make things with them to cure ailments. I thought that concept was awesome. I really like the idea of natural remedies and herbalism myself. It's something I would like to know more about. And I thought this would be a really wholesome game for the kids, help them to start developing an interest down these lines. The game comes with a large game board, and you move your little pieces around by using a spinner. So it's like a spin and move kind of a game. You're going around the track, and depending on what space you land on, different things happen. It's a cooperative game, and I like that. How you would lose the game is if you are not able to make it from Grandma's house to wherever her house is. It's in one of these corners. From Grandma's house at the start up to the mountain to collect huckleberries and bring them down and return them to her before the sun sets. So there are little black pieces that you can land on whenever you land on a moon. It can make the time change. And many cooperative games have some sort of a time tracking element like that where you need to beat the game before the time runs out. It comes with a standard spinner, nice. Oh, by the way, artwork, so far so good. It was nice and colorful on the game board. I liked that fine. It comes with some standard type pieces here. We have these little black plastic round pieces. That's what tracks the sun, creates darkness in the sky. And then we have standard little game pieces as such. And these are what represent the huckleberries. Some little clear blue plastic things. These could have been something better. I don't think this is real impressive. It's very, very basic. And huckleberries are kind of a unique berry, I think. And there could have been something more interesting used for that component. Then we have cooperation cards, and it tells you on the back what these do. Basically, these can help get somebody who's far behind on the board more caught up, so one person isn't really far ahead. That was a nice touch because it can be disparaging for children when it seems they can never roll or spin the right number and they're far behind everybody else, and that promotes that spirit of cooperation because we all have to get down to Grandma's house with the huckleberries to win or something like that. I don't remember exactly. I haven't played it for a few months, but anyway. Then we have these cards, and these are the, got that in the wrong pile. These are the herb cards. This has excellent artwork on it. This is the white willow, the elder, the burdock. The drawing is detailed and realistic. I don't know enough about these plants to know if I could for sure go out in the wild and identify a plant based on the photos or the artwork rather that I'm seeing in this game, but I would suspect I probably could because of the plants in here that I do know, such as a cattail. It's very clearly a cattail. Here is the huckleberry itself, so that's kind of nice. The back of these cards has a bright yellow, it's either a sunshine or a dandelion, however you interpret that. Kind of generic computer artwork, but it's a bright color, so that's all right for me. Then moving on, sounds like this is so far so good, right? Well, we're gonna get into what I don't like about this game, which is actually quite a lot. So moving on to the ouch cards, or I don't know what they call them, but basically what happens in this game is the children are supposed to go up the mountain and collect these huckleberries and bring them back to Grandma's house. While they're on their journey though, a lot of injurious things happen to them. When you land on a square, you have to take a card and something bad happens, like you might have a headache, an earache, a scrape, you're hungry, you got bit by a mosquito, etc. And you're collecting these, but then you're also collecting herb cards, and you can match them up, and if you're able to cure your ailment, then you get rid of your ailment. And you can also, with those cooperation cards, help each other and pass off your herbs to other players who have an ailment that needs to be cured as well. So I have a few issues with this. For one thing, let me just show you the cards. This is the Ouch Bee Sting. the mosquito bite, the sprained ankle, the burn. Now, those first three were pretty innocuous, but this isn't really a very pleasant picture. I mean, these are owies. And what happened was when my kids, my little boys, started to accumulate these cards, which you do quickly, you get like a lot of injuries in this game. Look at that rash, ouch. They took it kind of to heart. Like they took it more literally than I expected that they would. They did not like having these bad things happen to themselves or to each other. They didn't like to see it on their brother either. So what happens in this game is these bad things really start to pile up in front of you, and you keep looking at them like, oh no, I have splinters. I mean, ouch. I want to get rid of that. So it caused them, I would say, a little bit of stress. They really did not enjoy seeing those bad things piling up. Like, and they're imagining, they're children, they're more literal than we are, imagining these things, and they wanted to cure it. So they were really interested in getting the herbs to do that. Okay, so that leads me to the stinging nettle card. Stinging nettle is something you should never touch because it will give you a very bad rash. I think the little pokey things go inside you or something. Most of us know you should never touch stinging nettle. But stinging nettle is also featured in the herb cards for healing properties. And that was confusing for me. So we actually stopped during one game and started YouTubing, what is the deal with the stinging nettle? How can it be a plant that you should never touch? Yet at the same time, it's also used for remedies rather. And I know that I've heard of nettle tea. It's true. Stinging nettle can be used for healing properties. But how? This game will not tell you that at all. In fact, it even says in the directions that this game is designed to be an introduction to the idea that herbs can be used for healing properties, but it's just to inspire interest. It will not teach you a thing about it. You would have to go on your own and study. So herbs can be used. You can eat them. You can rub them on you. You can make tinctures. You can make teas. But this game will not tell you which way you are supposed to handle any of these herbs in order to get the desired results. And I think that's really, really too bad. I think that the creators misinterpreted, underestimated, I should say, the capacity of children to learn. And I think it would have made it a lot more interesting and certainly more educational if some of that would have been incorporated into the game. So basically what ends up happening is you're just seeing injuries happen over and over and over again. You're seeing herb cards flash before you over and over and over again. But there's no real connection. Even if you played it enough where you got to the point where you could remember, this herb is good for when you have a scraped knee. Well, there's several herbs that are solutions for each of the problems. And there's just like a lot of crossover. I'm not sure that you would walk away from this and ever really remember, or even if you did, you would be like, well, I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. And if you weren't educated in the case of the stinging nettle, God forbid somebody would go out in the wild, have some kind of an ailment, and then see a stinging nettle and go over and pick it thinking that it was going to help them, and then they just make themselves worse. So the lack of information there to me was really disappointing. Now, what it does also contain in the directions, though, is a story. As a Christian, because that's the perspective I'm coming from here, I would say you don't really need to read this story, but we did, and there is mention of fairies in the story. It also tells you that if you have the link to the website, you can continue the story. There are certain squares that you can land on the game board that when you do, you're supposed to look up a certain number, a portion of the story, and read it aloud. I think that's a really cool idea, but the problem is we didn't buy this from the original seller. We got ours on eBay, and unless you buy it from the original seller, it does not come with the rights and the link to view the online story. I couldn't figure out any way to access it through their website. Well, some months went by, and eventually I realized you actually can access the story part for free on Amazon, even without having bought the product from Amazon. So I thought, oh, okay, here's our solution. I bet all that good information about how you use some of these herbs is built into that story piece that we never had access to before. No, oh no, I was very disappointed to find out once we started reading the story bits that it was just pure nonsense. It was story, it was stuff about grandpa and grandma and being out on this hike and whatnot. And it had a whole lot to do with some encounter that grandpa once had with some little fairy in the yard. It was about fairies, and it was not about anything educational. I'm not into fairies. Fairies is close to, I don't know, magic, witchcraft, stuff we don't do. Which brings me to the title of the game itself, Wildcraft. I thought, that's interesting. I've studied things about herbalism before, and I've never heard this term wildcraft used. Is that a common term for herbalism? I did some searching on Google, and I did not actually see the connection. It did not come up as a common connection as far as I could tell. And to me, I'm sorry, but wildcraft and witchcraft, they're just too similar of words. So that's a turnoff for me. Again, right there. Last but not least, let's get back to these injuries that pile up throughout the game, which were somewhat distressing to my children. It turns out that it's not a requirement of the game to heal all of your injuries in order to win. You get them throughout your journey, you heal them throughout your journey, but the point of the game is to get back to Grandma's house with the huckleberries. And if you still have injuries when you get there, it's okay. And I just told the kids, well, you get back to Grandma's house, that's a safe place. Grandma is the herbalist, and whatever was wrong with you, I'm sure she'll heal when she gets there. But there was a little bit of disconnect there for the kids, like, why would the game give us injuries and then give us a way to heal them, but it actually has nothing to do whatsoever with a point system or with winning the game, and it doesn't teach anything, or next to nothing in my opinion. So I'm glad I finally got to do this review today. I haven't done a review for a really long time, but I'm ready to get this game out of my house, so I wanted to make sure I covered it. One last little turnoff for me was the fact that inside the game there is this insert, and it has pictures of fairies on it. Evidently what this is doing is this is advertising something called Herb Fairies, a magical tale of plants and their remedies, which is advertising another product that this company makes, and it has something to do with books or something. I don't know. I don't really care a whole lot, but it does say in this one part, make the herbal remedies and recipes the kids make in the books with recipe cards. So they have additional merchandise that maybe does give more of those solutions that I was looking for, those actual practical ways to use these remedies, but it's all steeped in stuff that has to do with fairies. So it's coupled with that. So I'm not impressed with that at all. And when I saw this insert in here, it was kind of my first clue that I do not think that the family that created this game is coming from the standpoint of Christian values. And I actually think that instead of these herbs being compared to God's natural remedies that he's given us on earth to help improve our health, I think it's more like an alchemist kind of feel. And alchemy is like mixing things together to make spells. It doesn't say that in this. It doesn't say that here, but that's the feeling that I get. I don't get a good vibe. Like, I don't think this game is coming from the right motive. The creators of this game, I think they're dabbling in magic. That's what I feel like. So I'm not really comfortable with it. From a Christian rating, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. There are no fairies, to be clear, in this game if you don't read the story part that comes with it. I don't believe there's any fairy visual on the game. If it is, it's tiny and I didn't notice it. But because it does incorporate fairies, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I can't give it a 5. As far as like, do I like it when I recommend it? No, I don't. The kids enjoyed playing it reasonably. We played it a few times. It's any new game is exciting when you first pull it out, but it doesn't have like that longevity. I just don't think it's great. It could have been great. It could have been great, but it's not. So that's what I have to say about Wildcraft. God bless you.